Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about EV sales and the EV market because what is currently happening is not what automakers expected. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. In yesterday's video, I talked about the overall new car market, and in that video, I talked about EVs. And basically, from the report that Cox Automotive released, we saw that EVs are probably going to see about 1 million units sold in the US for the 2023 sales year, and they're going to have about a 7% market share. Those are definitely some big gains. But I didn't really dive too deep into the EV situation because there are some more stats that I think are really important for what's happening in the EV market. Now again, 7% market share with the new vehicles. On the used side of things, EVs only account for about 1% of the total market, so significantly less than what you see on the new side of things, which makes sense, right? Because we're still at the infancy of the technology at this point and the infancy of adoption as well. But another stat that I find absolutely fascinating from another report that Cox Automotive released was the amount of consumers that are now considering an EV. It's about 51% of consumers are considering an EV. That is up from 38% in 2021. Now again, that is just considering, that is not actually purchasing. And again, if we look at the buying habits, only about 7% of the market is purchasing an EV at this point. So you have half the market that's saying that they'll consider it, but when it comes to actually like forking over the money, less than 10% of consumers will actually, put their money where their mouth is on the new side of things. And on the used side of things, it's like less than 1%. And this is happening at the same time that the day supply of EVs on the market is continuing to increase. Right now, there's about a 91-day supply with new EVs on the market. That is well above the industry average. The industry average is right around 50 days. So what this means is that across the board, with every single manufacturer, it would take about 50 days to sell out of their inventory. But with EVs, it would take over 90 days. And so this shows, again, the gap between what people are saying, what they're looking for, and then what they're actually buying when they go to purchase a car. And this has been quite shocking to automakers because automakers have been spending a lot of time, effort, and money into building out more infrastructure for EVs and just building out more EVs in general. I mean, we've had a ton of EVs released here in the US market. I mean, this year, I think we're going to see like something like 40 new EVs released for the 2023 model year. I mean, the market, at least in terms of options, is growing a massive amount. But again, the sales just aren't there. I think the poster child of this is a few different manufacturers, but the two I want to talk about is Ford and Mercedes. So with Ford, they have the Mustang Mach-E and the Ford F-150 Lightning. And the reason I want to bring up these two cars is upon initial release, people were hyped up out of their mind with these vehicles. I mean, the F-150 Lightning had a list for like 2 or 3 years in terms of people that wanted the truck versus what Ford could actually produce. And now we're in a situation where not even I think a full year into F-150 Lightning production, Ford dealers have tons of these trucks on their lots that they cannot sell. And so it just shows the huge shift that we've seen over the last, couple of years. And again, what people are saying they want versus what they end up actually buying. People are saying that they want these electric vehicles, but when they go in, they don't buy an electric F-150. They buy a hybrid F-150 or a regular F-150 with a 5.0 V8 or a EcoBoost engine, whatever it may be. And then if we dive from that to the Mercedes side of things, obviously with the EQ lineup, it was kind of controversial from the start, but I don't think that people realize just how bad the EQ lineup has done here in the US market. Not only is the day supply number of EQ cars absolutely massive, I can't say that this is 100% verified because I'm not allowed to say my source, but what I can tell you is I have heard from people that are in the know that Mercedes has been buying back EQ cars from dealers because the dealers are complaining about all this inventory they have that they can't sell. And so I feel like that in itself is like a huge deal. Like, these cars are selling so poorly that the manufacturer, that their whole thing is to build cars and sell them to dealers, is now buying their cars back from dealers because they're pretty much unsellable. It's kind of harsh to say that, but that's just the reality of the market. And this has definitely created a very interesting situation in the auto market because manufacturers definitely overcorrected when it came to EVs, because again, they thought that like this is the thing to do now, and now automakers are realizing that the US market just isn't ready for it. The infrastructure isn't there, and although people are considering the EVs, actual demand, actual cash, right, isn't going towards EVs at this point. Yes, the market's going to continue to grow, but it's not going to grow at the pace that a lot of these automakers think. And so I think this is a big part of the reason why we're seeing a lot of automakers push back their plans for full electrification. And on top of that, automakers are now talking about, releasing some more ICE cars before they no longer release new ICE cars. I mean, that was the talk over the last couple of years, is that, yep, this is it. We're not going to release any more ICE cars. All the cars moving forward are going to be EVs. And now you see automakers even backpedaling from that, because they realize if they do that, then they're going to be in a situation where they're going to have all these cars that they're producing that people aren't buying. And if the ICE cars that they're still producing, well, if they become outdated and old, and their competitors are still building new ICE cars, well, they're going to fall behind where on the front where cars are actually selling. So I know this video is kind of all over the place, but I want you guys to let me know what you think about this whole EV market situation. And again, you don't have to agree with some of my takes on what's happening within the market. At the beginning of the video, when I gave the data, like, what do you think about that data? The fact that the day supply number of EVs is higher than the market average, and on top of that, the overall EV market size, although growing, it's not growing at the same pace that EV production is growing, if that makes sense. Again, automakers are going super deep into EVs, and the consumer is not there yet. Again, they say that they'll consider an EV, but again, when it comes to purchasing, they won't necessarily purchase it. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this whole trend with the EV market, and where do you think this trend is going to lead. I'll see you.